Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm gonna stand up because I got a
Morning.
little clicker and a slideshow, so that way I can go through it. So today we're gonna talk about the listing process. Our last class was about the listing appointment, and we even had like a little, you were here too, right? Was supposed to be a role playing situation, which, hey, it helped, right? And then, so we're gonna cover, preparing for the listing presentation now that you have the listing. So we're just gonna summarize a little bit of what we talked about. And yeah, pre-listing preparation test, listing presentation tips, and then post-listing, meaning now that you have the listing, what are you gonna do, right? So pre-listing preparation and tasks. So the first thing we wanna do is contact the sign company and make sure you have a for sale sign. But you also want to ask the sign company if there's any restrictions for that particular community. Because there's some communities that require specific signs. Maybe it has to be a specific color, specific size, maybe it has to have the community logo on it or something. But contact the sign company. You should already have a sign, so if you don't already have a sign, you should have a for sale sign. And the for sale signs don't say for sale on them, they have the company logo, company name, company logo, your name, your DRA license number, your phone number, possibly your website, if there's an extra line for that. And then you buy a post. It's like a 7, right? The post that you put into the dirt and you hang the sign on. And then on those posts, you could attach sign writers. They're like little rectangle sign writers that say for sale, or for lease, or in escrow, or just sold, right? That you can just replace on there. So you're always gonna have the sign, and you can use the same sign for sale or for lease property. And then, so you can order a for sale sign, you can order open house signs. And this is the sign company that we go through, ressforsigns.com.
Okay.
And make sure that when you order the signs, they say Coldwell Banker Platinum Properties, not Coldwell Banker Realty or Coldwell Banker Residential, because those are the default ones that they have. So they're going to send you a proof of the signs with your contact information and the company brokerage name. So make sure that it does say Coldwell Banker Platinum Properties.
So this is the website that you,
Yes, yeah, that we order from.
Requirement.
And the open house signs also have to have the brokerage name, logo, your name and phone number and DRA license number as well.
And that company's really good. They're fast. They know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It usually takes the longest, probably 2 weeks or less, because they have to, their design center has to design the sign for you, send you the proof, you have to approve it, and then once you approve it, then they go ahead and do the printing on it. Okay, so next thing is you have to have is a lockbox. So make sure that if you are gonna go on a listing appointment, what if you get the listing and they're ready to go live that same day? You need to put a lockbox on it, right? Depending on if there's gonna be showings. So make sure you purchase a lockbox from Orange County Realtors. I think they're about $125 or something for the lockbox. But I think the battery never dies on it because we've had ours for years and they don't.
So this is the only place that we can purchase the
Yes,
lockbox?
yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, make sure you have that. And then also subscribe to Super E-Key. So when you guys sign up with the board, that's one of the things that they tell you to sign up for or give you the option to sign up for is Super E-Key. And this is what it looks like on your phone next to the lockboxes here. So that's how you open the lockbox. So this E-Key opens the shackle, see the round part on top? So you can attach it to a door handle or a gate on the side of the house or whatever it is. So it doesn't go anywhere. But it also opens the tray on the bottom of the lockbox where you house the key, right? So you open the lockbox, there's a key in there, open the house. Let's see. And then make sure that you add, when you purchase the lockbox, add the lockbox to your Super account. So you're gonna create a Super account. You can access that through crmls.org and you log into that. And then it's gonna ask you what the serial number is, I believe, to the lockbox, and then that way it will match it to your account. And this helps notify you whenever somebody visits the open house or visits the property with their, let's say I'm a realtor, I'm going to your listing and I open the lockbox. It notifies you that Carlos Rodriguez opened the lockbox and I'm at the property. So it's important to do all this. Any questions on that?
Just one lockbox that we can.
I would start with one. Yeah. I mean, if you're really ambitious, get 10 of them or 10 listings, you know? But you should have one for each house, each listing that you have. Yes,
Does it tell you when they lock it, like when they do their presentation?
it doesn't tell you.
It doesn't, oh, okay, because you do get a message, hey, are you done showing the house? or-
Yeah, it notifies you, as the listing agent notifies you when someone opens it, but I don't think it notifies you when they close it, but you do get another email saying the show is complete.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because of, yeah, I've seen the agents, or even myself, when I open the lockbox, it'll tell me that I've, accessed
Open
the
your,
lockbox.
yeah.
But when I close it and put the key back and everything, it doesn't tell me that, I think like an hour later, it'll email me saying, oh, the showing's done or something. Like after I've already put the key back in.
I was just wondering if you have to worry, like, did they close the door?
No, you're hoping,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, so now preparation for the listing appointment, listing presentation summary. So remember, for the listing appointment, we're gonna obtain a property profile from the title company and then the realist tax report. And this ensures that we are speaking to the homeowners, the correct person that we need to talk to, right? That makes the decisions. And it also tells you, the square footage, bedrooms and bathrooms that are on file. Go to the MLS and look up any comps to help price the property, right, to value the property. Prepare the CMA for the listing appointment, and then is the first print out a blank residential listing agreement to take the listing appointment too, in case you get them to sign the listing appointment at that time. So again, we're just summarizing what we've done to this point, now that we have listing. And then, so at the listing appointment, we're gonna discuss the client's goals, price. Right, like, did they have a price in mind? Timeline, how soon did you need to sell? Moving date, is there a certain date you need to move out by? Etc. Let's go, tour the property, I don't know why that came up second. But you're gonna tour the property. Identify any improvements of the property. So make sure that when you walk through the property, you ask them if there's anything that's been upgraded or updated, or anything that's new that, that's gonna stand out, that you can use to highlight the property. You can discuss comparable properties. Discuss pricing and timing strategy. Again, the price can determine how long it's gonna take to sell the house, right? Talked about that. Discuss your marketing plan. What are you gonna do to market their property? Sign the residential listing agreement, so this is everything you're gonna do in listing presentation. And then this is the older one, I didn't update it, but just an example of what the listing agreement looks like. So you guys see that. And then we're gonna put, on number 2A, that's where the beginning date and the ending date are. So that, you must have that in there. And then at the bottom, I'm not sure if this image shows it, but that's where you enter the commission amount. Yep, on C1 at the bottom. That percentage is where you're gonna enter the commission amount. All right, so let's move on.
So the listing period of the client to decide.
Well, you can tell them, you can tell them it's normally a 6-month listing contract or a 1 year. Some people get it for 1 year, but on average, I think it's 6 months. I mean, you can tell them it might not take 6 months to sell your house, but we just want to make sure we have plenty of time. Yeah, and if they're overpriced, then you want a longer contract, listing contract. All right, so move on. So now you got the listing. What's next? You guys know what's next? No?
Open house.
Well, let's see. So post listing text. So one of the tasks you have to complete is schedule a photographer. There's some agents that still just take their own pictures. And for a house for sale, I would not do that. That just doesn't look good, doesn't look professional. And it's only a couple $100 to hire someone to come out and take pictures. This is the website that I refer people to, previewfirst.com. It's a pretty cool website. You can just log on, schedule a day, tell them what property address you want photographed. And then there's different packages based on square footage. So if it's like from 0 to 1,500 square feet, it's one price. From 1,500 square feet to 3,000 square feet, it's another price because it's bigger, right? And so forth. And even then, it's still reasonable.
really good too.
Yeah, and that's for photos, right? But then if you want 3D tour, that's another fee where they, you guys have seen those online where you go into the room online and and you can turn and look around,
Yeah,
go to the next room and so forth. That's an additional fee. They have drone photography where they have aerial shots where they take it from the top. That's another fee. There's also like twilight photos where they come and set up at nighttime. When it's turning to night and you have all the lights on the house. You guys have seen those pictures, right? Where you can see the lights turned on and it's kind of dark outside and the pictures look really nice. Yeah, that's an additional fee. So they do everything, and you can schedule it online and you don't have to worry about, is there gonna be someone available? Because they have multiple photographers, so that's a pretty good website to schedule, so make sure you schedule photography, right? And while you're at it, you can take the opportunity to suggest, the removal of any clutter, staging options, maybe if the home's, vacant, talk to them about staging. Or, locking up valuables, that's very important. Make sure you tell them up front that you want to lock up valuables because agents are gonna walk through your house with their clients. And then when we have open house on the weekends, make sure that there's nothing, because there's people that go out and, I haven't heard about this lately, but they're like in teams. One person distracts you and starts asking you questions about the property. Another person goes into the bedroom and starts looking through the drawers or the bathroom, they look for medications, right? They're looking for painkillers or they're looking for jewelry or whatever they can find, or money. So make sure that they lock everything up. As far as clutter, I'm talking about like magnets on the refrigerator door. Okay, clean that stuff out. Take down anything that's on the countertops, leave it as clean as possible, as empty as possible, so it looks more spacious, right? More space. And then take down any personal photos, like family photos. Because again, even Shweta last week, she confirmed that nobody wants to see your pictures. They want to visualize them and their family in your house. So little things like that. And then maybe even suggestions like, okay, maybe we can move that couch over here, or, whatever, it'll look a little more presentable. Not that you have terrible taste, you have great taste, but I think for buyers coming through,
so we can suggest the client that, it might look more better.
yeah, it might look a little more inviting, or you could say like, it'll make it look bigger, whatever, not to offend them, saying, don't tell them, oh, this looks terrible, let's change it, right? Just say, it'll look a little more spacious or more inviting or more open if we did this. Or the colors will pop more because the sunlight's coming through the window, whatever it is, right? You could get creative with it. So what else are we doing here? We're gonna search previous listings of the subject property, so look on the MLS to see if this listing has been listed before. This property's been listed before with another agent. So maybe when this owner bought the house, it was listed in the MLS. So there's gotta be a history of it in the MLS. And this is gonna help you, I don't know if I have this in here. Also look for other properties in the same neighborhood, on the same street. This is gonna help you when, hopefully, we'll get to that, we're almost there. Have a copy of the property profile with you. So, I guess I don't have a note on that, so I'm gonna talk about it. So when you're entering the listing into the MLS, you want as much information about the listing as possible, about the property as possible. And when you have a previous printout of the MLS listing from whoever listed it before, it's gonna have so much information that's gonna help you when you're adding the listing into the MLS. Because I'll show you guys what it looks like. When you have to upload or add a listing to the MLS, there's so much information that you have to enter, along with adding photos to it, right? Also, make sure you add the listing to SkySlope after you add it to the MLS. And for those of you that don't know, SkySlope is the online transaction management system that we use to keep a record of all of our transactions in the office. So you as realtors have to keep a copy of your transactions as well. I believe it's for 3 years to 3 years. So make sure you don't delete anything. And I think this is where file organization plays a big role in your business. Make sure you have a folder. You name the folder, whatever that property address is, and all the forms, contracts, disclosures, everything that has to do with that transaction that's on the checklist that we required is saved in that folder. Because if you move to another real estate office, maybe it's gonna be hard for you to access that information here, so you should have a copy of that. Again, it goes back 3 years. Yeah, but this is a way where the broker has a copy of it. We're required to have a copy of every file.
For the property profile, can you get it online through the title company, or do you have to go physically?
No, they can send you a PDF of it.
Okay, so you can do it all online?
Yeah, you can email, like, you can email Mary, she'll send you a property profile. There might be a website she can give you access to download one, but yeah, you can just have the PDF. If you don't want to print it, you can do that, you'd have to switch back and forth between screens, right, so, yeah. But, I like to have it printed out because I don't have to switch back and forth, it just makes it easier. It just takes so long to add a listing to the MLS that having to switch from, open up Adobe and then switch back to the browser and then open up Adobe, what did it say? Unless you have two screens,
Mhm.
then, it's easier that way.
Can we print it? We can just print it from MLS, no, the last one. The
Yeah,
last
he's talking
bill.
about the profile, property profile.
The Sky Slope is on the C desk that,
No, it's a separate website. It's on the sheet that I gave you.
oh,
of the- of different
oh, yeah,
websites.
yeah.
All right, so, also, you're gonna install the for sale sign, right? And see, this is an example of what the sign looks like. And then on the top, see those two little white, things sticking up? That's where you're gonna install the sign right there. For sale, for lease, in escrow, just sold, whatever it is. So you're gonna install the sign, the for sale sign, or if it's like a city like Santa Ana or Tustin, you can have those beast signposts, those big 4x4 ones installed. But there's sign companies that will send some out and do that. I mean, it costs you some money to do that, but there's some communities that they don't allow that at all. So you have to have the little thin, steel ones that are like a 7. And then there's some that don't even allow it in their condo community, so you just have to put it inside the window. You had to do that on yours,
We
right?
do that, and then I noticed that outside of the complex, outside the gates, people had those outside.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, and then while you're there, install the lockbox on the property, right? Make sure the key's in the lockbox before you install it. And that way, other realtors have access to it. Begin to market the property. So you're gonna design a property flyer, you can do this on Moxie Impress or Listing Concierge, or I think now it's the Marketing Center on desk. And once you design the flyer, there's already templates set up. You just upload the photos, add the description of the property, and download the PDF, and then you're gonna send that to the printing company. And then these flyers you're gonna leave on the property. So when you have your open houses or agents show the property, the buyers can walk away with that flyer. Because they might be looking at 5 to 10 different properties that day. How are they gonna remember which one it was that they liked? Oh, I like this one. Oh, this is the one. I have the flyer. Here's the pictures. You wanna start sending out mailers or postcards of the property, right, just listed to the neighborhood. Social media, you wanna post it, announce it on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if you use TikTok. Is that still?
Yeah.
We still allowed to use TikTok? E-marketing, so you can also send an email to your sphere of influence, all your clients, right? Send an email to the office announcing. So if you send me the flyer, I can distribute that to the agents within the office, announcing the listing. Yeah, so, yeah, that's email to the agents, okay, what else? So if you plan on holding an open house, you can reach out to the title company, in this case, Mary, and she can provide you with shoe covers. So that, I think most homeowners appreciate that, right? That you either have the people that enter the property walk in, either take off their shoes or wear shoe covers so it doesn't muddy up their carpet or their tile or wood floor or whatever it is. And then she can also get you a flyer stand. So instead of just laying the flyers on the table, it's a little plastic stand that you can put the flyers in. And it has a little, I guess, opening for your business cards as well, little tray in there. Advertise the open house to the neighbors the week before or the week of, and maybe have a specific time for the neighbors. This is what some agents do. They'll say, we're gonna have an open house, like a sneak peek for the neighbors between 9 and 10 AM. And then at 10 AM, we start the open house and it goes until 2 PM or whatever it is. But for the neighbors, we're allowing you to come see it between, this time, so it's just people that are around here, right? You guys get a sneak peek at it. And then you're gonna add the open house date on the MLS for other agents to see, but it's also gonna auto-populate onto Zillow and all the other websites, so buyers can see when there's an open house. That's very important. And while you're at it, you can complete your agent visual inspection disclosure. And what this is, and I think we've talked about it before, it's a form, it's a car form that's required for your transaction, first of all. But every agent that's in the transaction, the listing agent and the buyer's agent has to complete one of these. And it's exactly what it says, it is a visual inspection of the property. You're not an inspector, you're not in construction, you don't know what, you don't have to look under the sink, you're not a plumber, you don't have to flush the toilet to make sure it's working right. It's a visual inspection, so what you do, there's some agents that go in every room and they're like, let's see, the lights work, you don't have to do all that. You walk into the room and you look, if the lights are on, cool, like, you don't have to switch everything in the house and like check it's a visual inspection. You walk into the room, I walk in this room. Let's see, I don't see any stains on the ceiling. I don't see any tears in the carpet. I don't see any holes in the wall. I don't see a broken window. Okay. No defects noted, or, that's pretty much what you need to write. So if there's nothing or no material defects noted, right? If there's nothing wrong with the room, you should write something on the list, because on this form, there's gonna be a line for the living room, for the bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3, the kitchen, exterior, rear exterior, garage. And so you have to write something so that people know that you actually went into that room. Some agents, they'll leave it blank, especially agents from other offices. If there's nothing wrong, they won't write anything. How do you know they even went into the house or they even did the inspection? They just signed it, okay, it's fine. Or maybe I remember that there was something, no. Go into every room, if there's nothing wrong, just say no material defects noted. Okay, cool, that's it. At least I went into this room, this is what I noted, there's nothing wrong with it. So make sure that you complete this ahead of time. Next, send out the seller's disclosures for the seller's signatures. You want to have all this done, and the reason I said to do your agent visual inspection disclosure is because you're going to send this along with the seller's disclosures to the sellers so they can sign it. Since they're signing everything else, then they can also sign your agent visual inspection disclosure. This is important because, let me see. You want to be ready. So like if you have, let's say you go on the market and you get, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, how many offers, right? And one of them is a cash offer. They're giving you asking price. They want a 10-day escrow. That's great. You already have your disclosures ready to send out to them, right? They're filled out, they're signed. Here you go. But if you don't have them signed, now you have to go into zip forms. After you accept the offer, go into zip forms, pull up the forms, send them to your client, or print them out if your client wants to do it in person. Meet with them, have them fill it out. Now you're wasting all this time, and it's only a 10-day escrow, right? And then you have to send it to them after it's signed, scan it, send it to them, or whatever it is, and then they have to read through them. They have 5 days to read through them. If you email it to them, and then they send it back to you. But if you have them when you accept the offer already completed, you just send them off that same day, and it just makes everything so smooth. I mean, trust me, you don't want to not have these.
Do they have to disclose liens there too? Or is it just a physical?
No, this is about the property itself. Yeah, liens are going to be the title search is what looks for that. Right, when they do a preliminary title report, they look for liens, they look for any encumbrances, they look for any easements, they look for any cloud on the title, things like that. So yeah, it's important to have this, and once you do this up front and you send it to them, you could pretty much sit back and just let the transaction just smoothly take care of itself, right? There's not many things you're gonna have to do after that for a while. And then we'll talk about that because I have the transaction timeline here that I like to bring up every time. So, make sure you have your open house signs. You're gonna host your open house, right? We talked about the open house signs. And let's see, during your open house, you can have these 3 different forms. You can have the open house visitor non-agent disclosure, which is pretty much a sign-in sheet for them. For any visitors, they sign their name and then they write down who their agent is. This means they came through and now you can share with them whatever you want to share with them. And there's no mistake in that you're not representing them. because they've signed this saying you're not representing them. And then the buyer representation of broker compensation agreement, this is, let's say they want to submit an offer. You want them to sign this first to show that they're working with you, exclusively with you. And this form leaves it open to, you could say for any home in Orange County or any home in the city of Irvine. And then from this date, not to exceed 3 months. And then the last one is a property showing and representation agreement. This one allows up to, I think, 3 properties. So you write down the specific property address of the home that you're holding open. So that way, if a buyer doesn't want to commit to you to look at other properties or show any of the properties, they're willing to just submit an offer through you for that listing, then you would use that form that shows that you're representing them for only the purchase of this property, which most of them will agree to do. So they don't want, they want their chances to be better to be accepted, right? If I go to the listing agent, most likely they're gonna accept my offer because they're probably gonna double end it and get more money, right? But I don't want this agent to show me other properties. I'm gonna do the same thing as a buyer. I'm gonna go into this listing. I'm gonna say, Mr. Agent, represent me for this one. I'm gonna go to that listing. I'm gonna say, Mrs. Agent, I want you to represent me for that listing, right? For that purchase and so forth. Some people do that. So that form would be good for that. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions on this?
So you could have the buyer representation with one agent, but then you go to a specific house and then you can use the.
No.
property show?
No, it's only if you're using the property showing and representation agreement.
Okay, so you could have multiple properties showing.
Yes,
You can only
if,
have one buyer representation.
right,
Okay.
right. If on the property showing representation agreement, you enter that specific property address. So you're only representing the buyer for that particular property. And I go to another property and I sign another one for that particular property owner. But the buyer representation broker compensation agreement, that means that if you have the buyer sign that and you check the box that says exclusive, that means, and you can't exceed 90 days or 3 months of the contract representation. So that means within those 3 months, you can't buy through anybody else. If you do, you owe me a commission because we have a contract.
Question.
Yeah.
So why, if somebody comes to the property and they don't have a representative, why is it good for them to do it each time they go to a different location with a different person?
Because they don't want to tie themselves in to you.
They don't want to get stuck with you,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Okay, so this gives
But
them.
it gives them, I think it gives them a better opportunity for their offer to be accepted. Better chances to be accepted if you go through the listing agent. Because the listing agent has more incentive to bring in their own buyer, right? Because they make more money.
Right, they make more money.
So if you're a listing agent, you have 5 offers and you're representing one of the buyers, would you want to more likely accept your own offer or would you want to accept one of the other offers?
Your own.
I mean, I'm not saying to do that.
No, I know.
You're gonna submit all offers and then the seller's gonna pick which offer looks the best. But as a listing agent, you already know what the other offers look like.
That's what I.
So you can always up it, right?
You can, yeah, you already know what the seller's willing to accept.
Yeah, but if these offers are more than what the seller's willing to accept already anyway, then you know that what they are, and you can add $5,000 to it. Hey, my offer's higher.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's still helping yourself.
True, because you know more.
Yeah.
Of what's going on with the.
I mean, if you ask me, it's not fair, but that's, and you're not breaking any rules by doing that.
It's good.
All right, so then, after you get all these offers in, you're gonna present all the offers and review them with the seller. There's a form on Zip Forms called Summary of Multiple Offers. And this is a pretty cool form because you can have them all printed out, stacked up in a folder. But you can enter this information for each one of the offers. This is for up to 5 offers. And maybe you want to present the top 5 offers this way. And say, look, the first offer on this first column here, this is the purchase price. It's all cash. The deposit is this much. There's no loan amount, so we're not gonna enter that. It's a 30-day escrow. They removed all contingencies. And then the next one, it's the same offer, but they have a loan and they have all the contingencies in place for 17 days. And then you compare them side by side. And then when the seller says, okay, let me see all the offers, then you're gonna show them all the offers. So this is where it says this and this and this and this. And then they're gonna be like, oh, you know what, let's go with that one. That one just looks way better. Right? It's all cash, no contingencies. Let's say 15-day escrow. Yep, that one looks way better. Let's go with that, right? So this is a really cool form, very helpful form. So I would recommend that you use this if you have multiple offers. And then there's some people that set it up like on an Excel spreadsheet. And they just have their own, you could make your own with the information that you want on there.
Do you wait till the end of the week to like present all the offers, or like, if you have one on Monday, don't you want to present it like the next day or one?
You could talk to the owner, the seller, and decide how they want to handle it. Would you like me just to present them all to you on one day? So that way you put on the MLS, all offers will be presented to the seller on this date, so make sure you have them by this date, or you present them as they come in.
Okay.
And sometimes you present the offer, and they're like, well, let's wait a couple days, see if we get any of their offers, and then let's say the next day you get 2 more offers. And then the seller's like, well, let's wait to see if there's any more offers that come in. And remember, each offer expires in 3 days unless they stated differently on it. So make sure you let the seller know, hey, just to let you know, it expires in 3 days, so let's not wait too long. So then what happens next is you're gonna accept an offer, or you're gonna counter the offer. So make sure that during the listing process, that you make the seller aware that, hey, you might have to enter into counter offers, so just be prepared for that. And then you accept an offer after you counter back and forth. And so this is pretty interesting. I don't want to confuse you guys with it, but if all 3 of you submitted an offer to me and I countered all of you, it would be multiple counter offer number 1. For you, multiple counter offer number 1 for you, multiple counter offer number 1 for you. But then when you reply to me with a counter offer, you're gonna say counter offer number 1, buyer counter offer number 1, buyer counter offer number 1, buyer counter offer number 1. And then if I want to keep going with Sonia only, then I'm gonna send seller counter offer number 1. Does that make sense to you guys?
Seller counter offer
Yeah,
number
even
1.
though I sent multiple seller counter offer number 1. Now, if I'm only countering with you after the fact, the next counter is going to be seller counter offer number 1, because there's no longer multiple seller counter offer. Now it's seller counter offer number 1. And then you're gonna send me buyer counter offer number 2, and then we go that route. But that's interesting, right? A lot of people don't know that.
Now you're a seller, because you're,
No,
Just-
instead of multiple counter offers,
yeah,
now it's
Just
just,
one
I'm just
person.
yeah,
Yeah.
counter 1 person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, even people that have been doing this for a long time don't understand.
yeah, I get it, yeah.
I just thought I'd bring that up, but,
Interesting.
okay, so now the offer's been accepted. After accepting the offer, what do? You're gonna open escrow. So as a listing agent, you're gonna send a copy of the listing contract, the purchase contract, and any addendums or counteroffers to escrow. Okay, same thing I just said here. Escrow should have been agreed to on the contract, right? Like either who the escrow holder is gonna be, or they're gonna say seller's choice. If the seller's choice, then the seller side, listing side decides what escrow is gonna be used. So next, you're gonna deliver the seller's disclosures to the buy side. After you accepted the offer, remember we did all these, right? We had them do this while we had the listing at the beginning. So now you deliver them to the buyer side. If there's a termite inspection that was requested or asked for on the negotiated to the contract, and they ask for the seller to pay for the termite inspection. So as a listing agent, that's the first thing I would do after sending everything to escrow is schedule that termite inspection. So you look online, find different companies, and then you find a quote, and then you call the seller and say, hey, these are the 3 different quotes, which one would you like me to use? It's your money, you have to pay for it, so. Or they might just say, hey, just order it, doesn't matter.
So termite inspection is like a newer home, like new built home, like maybe
they can ask for termite inspection for any home.
Any region.
Usually a new home, like brand new home, that you're not gonna get that, but like if it was built, I don't know, 2 years ago or something, 3 years ago, whatever, they might ask for that, especially if the neighborhood is known for termites, which mostly every neighborhood is. So now if the seller agrees to enter any repairs, make sure that all the repairs are completed before the final walkthrough. So during the transaction, the buyer might send a request for repairs, because the buyer side, they're gonna have their own physical inspection scheduled. And after they do their physical inspection, they're gonna have a report. They're gonna send it to the buyer and to the buyer's agent. And then the buyer's gonna sit down with the client and say, hey, here's the inspection report. Is there anything that you want to ask for the seller to repair? They might say, nope, let's just move forward. Or they might say, yeah, I want this fixed, I want that fixed, I want that fixed. Well, then they submit a request for repairs with those things, those items. And then the seller can either say, sure, I'll fix all that. Or they can say, I'm not gonna fix any of it. Or they can say, I'll fix this and this only, but not the rest of it. And then the buyer can either say, okay, it's fine, let's move forward. Or the buyer can say, okay, I want to cancel, never mind. Right? Or they can negotiate a little bit more. So there's different things they can do. But if the seller does agree to repair anything, make sure that the repairs are completed before the final walkthrough, which is 5 days before close of escrow. And then finally, here's the transaction timeline. I know you guys love this thing. I love talking about it too.
Good.
So remember, day 0 is acceptance. So if my seller accepts an offer and I email out the accepted offer to the buy side today, then today is day 0. Today's the acceptance date. And tomorrow would be day 1. So remember that. So by the 3rd day, the buyer should have sent in their deposit, a bunch of stuff. The seller should have already ordered the HOA docs, and that usually goes through escrow. Escrow orders it, but the seller pays for them. So make sure you let your seller know there's an HOA, they're gonna have to pay for it. It's like $300 to $600 typically, around there. Could be more, but that's around the average. And then if there's any, like a trust or anything like that, they should have already showed evidence of it to escrow. Let's see. And then, so within these first 3 days, I would order, it's not on here because it's, again, it's if applicable. I would order the termite inspection, if there is a termite inspection that was negotiated into it as a listing agent. And then, so because you've already sent all your seller's disclosures on the first day, maybe the second day, on the first day, you're just sitting back. Just like, okay, I just ordered the inspection, the termite inspection, and now you're just waiting for them to send you back all their seller's disclosures. Signed, right, by the buyer. And then by the 7th day, it says that you should have already sent over all these disclosures, but guess what? I did that the first day. So I'm way ahead of schedule. So I'm just sitting pretty over here, right? And then within the first week, the buy side, they're also gonna order their inspection, their physical inspection of the property. They're gonna look at everything in the house. So then they're gonna get their report back probably in a couple of days. And then they're gonna send over a request for repairs. And then you're gonna negotiate that. So that's gonna go on within this time frame. And maybe there's some termite work that needs to be done. So when they give you the request for repairs, they're also gonna ask for you to do the termite work, for the seller to do the termite work. Seller usually says, fine, I'll do it. So then, I don't know, as time's going by, and then when you get to the 17th day, the buyer would have to remove their contingencies. But if everything was left default on the contract, right, as default. But you as the listing side or the seller can give them a notice to perform 2 days before the 17th day to ask them to notify them that they have to remove their contingencies on the 17th day. So that's 2 days later. So when you send the notice to buyer to perform, that means they have to perform by the 2nd day. If they don't, the seller can cancel on the 18th day. This is the only out for the seller. The buyer can cancel anytime, I guess throughout the transaction, if they have not removed their contingencies. They can cancel for any reason at any time. The seller can't. Seller's stuck. Even if someone else says, hey, Mr. Seller, I have an offer that's $100,000 more than than the person you're in escrow with now, the seller can't just cancel and accept that offer. But this is a way out. So when I have a listing, a lot of agents don't like to do that, send out the notice to buyer perform. I send it out. And agents, the other agents get mad. They say, why are you sending this to me? Does your seller want to cancel? What's going on? You know, like, it's like, no. I tell them, it's just company policy that we send this out to protect our seller. So I let them know ahead of time that it's coming.
So if the seller sends that and they don't answer, now that person can accept another offer?
No. That means if they don't answer and if they don't remove contingencies, even if they don't answer, it doesn't matter. As long as they remove their contingencies by the 17th day, you're good. But if they don't answer and they don't remove their contingencies by the 17th day, the seller can cancel unilaterally on their own on the 18th day.
Oh, but they have to do it on the 18th day.
If they
They
want
have
to.
to
No, they don't have to do, they can do it on the 19th or the 20th, because
Oh,
they've already
okay.
sent the notice.
Oh, okay. So you
Right,
can
but
do it
this is-
anytime?
This is just a way to kind of nudge them a little, hey. You know, remove the contingency.
Or if they have a better offer.
Yeah.
you can
But
accept
you
it
have to
better.
let the other buyer know that you're still in escrow and they have to. Everyone has to cancel escrow,
Oh, the buyer.
but even though the seller canceled it, it's not completely canceled. The transaction is, but you still have to, sign the cancellation documents, their escrow, I believe. I think there's a process for that.
So
But,
how long it take to like completely cancel if the buyer don't live around?
well, the seller's gonna send the cancellation to the buyer because they didn't perform. And then it's canceled, but I don't know what the process is through escrow. I'll find out. So let's say I just sent this just to protect my seller, in case my seller wants out, right? Because if I don't send this out and then the buyer has to remove contingencies on the 17th day, and then my seller's like, hey, what's going on? Then the 18th day, 19th, 20th day, and my seller's like, hey, what's going on? I don't like what's going on. Now my seller's not protected anymore, right? They can't cancel. Unless then I would send a notice to perform. We're on day 20. I can send a notice to perform day 20, but that means that the buyer has to 21 and 22 to remove contingencies. And then my seller can cancel on day 23. So now we're way far along in the transaction, right? At that point, why bother? Just let it ride. I went through a transaction once where the buyer didn't remove contingencies at all. And I kept sending him notice to perform like every day, every other day. Like, hey, we're gonna cancel, remove your contingencies. Oh yeah, I'll talk to my buyer. Send him another one a week later. Hey, we're gonna cancel. No, I'll talk to my buyer. And then like, it was already like the last of it. I hope we closed. We closed, but I mean, you just never know. So let's say buyers remove contingencies on 17th day, 18th day, whatever, right? They remove contingencies. Now the transaction moves on. And then we get to 5 days prior to closing. So in this example, this is a 30-day escrow. So on day 25, any repairs that the seller agreed to make must be completed, because the buyer is going to do their final walkthrough. And the final walkthrough is just making sure that the property's in the condition it was in that you agreed to, right? When you bought it, this is the condition it was in, it's still in this condition, okay, I'm cool with it. Or it's in the condition it was in when I agreed to it, but also they were supposed to make these repairs. So then the buyer would go around and look to make sure the repairs are complete. And then they just sign the form saying, yep, everything's agreed to, is as we agreed to. And then they send the verification property condition signed to the listing side. The seller signs it, and then we're good with that. And then when we go to day 27, day 27 is the earliest that you can send the demand to close escrow from the listing side to the buy side. And this is kind of like a notice to perform, but to close. And I haven't seen that many people send. I mean, that's like when there's bad blood between both sides and maybe they think that something's not gonna close. And then you close escrow on day 30. So that's the life of the escrow. There's other things that can happen within this. But this is pretty much it. Does that make sense to you guys? You went through this.
Yeah.
Is there anything different that you experienced?
But like you, they didn't want to sign the contingency form until the last day when all the paperwork came in.
Yeah.
They signed it, and so it was kind of like, okay, let's hope this thing closes.
Yeah.
But on a 45-day escrow, does that just spread the dates out?
No,
more?
every date is the same, every deadline or timeline is the same,
Mhm,
except instead of 30 days, you have 45 days. So the only thing that moves here
mhm.
is the final walkthrough is not on day 25, it's on day 40.
Oh, okay.
But everything else is pretty much the same, unless they change the contingency period from 17 days to 21 days or like
Okay.
something like that, right?
Oh.
But usually they don't extend it, they shorten it. But in that scenario, I think they leave it at 17 days.
So before the 17 days, the buyer will get their deposit back if they cancel for 17 days.
Even after 17 days, if they don't remove their contingencies.
So,
As long as, if they remove their contingencies and then the buyer cancels afterwards, then they could possibly lose their deposit. Up to 3%. But yeah, if the buyer cancels, it has, they have a right to.
Because usually the deposit is 3%, isn't it? Is that like the normal? deposit,
Yeah, well,
3%?
that's kind of like the normal thing to do is to deposit 3% or here's my deposit of 3%.
So they would use that.
Yeah, but sometimes someone will submit like $5,000 or $10,000 and not just 3%. But I don't think I've seen anyone,
Use it,
give a deposit of more than 3%.
okay, because they're not sure, like, what if something happens, they don't want to lose their deposit.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of what they're teaching all the agents is 3%.
Yeah.
And then if you don't leave 3%, then the listing site will counter you, leave 3%.
Oh,
Any other questions?
do you know, like, is there like a percentage of transactions that go to escrow, like, they don't make it through all the way? 3%?
I don't know what the percentage is for that,
It's not that many,
that don't.
that don't make it through escrow. Most make it through.
No, I think lately I've heard that, there's transactions that they're canceling. I don't know what the reason is, maybe, because there's low inventory, so I don't know why someone would cancel them. If there's low inventory, they finally found a house and they were accepted, and like they were lucky enough to be accepted, right? There's no other house for sale in the neighborhood, and then you're canceling?
Yeah.
I would understand in a market where there's tons of inventory, that you have like tons to choose from, and you're an escrow here, like, oh, this one just came on the market today, like, oh, I like that one better, let's go here, right? Oh, wait a minute, there's another one, right? Or there's times where an agent will submit offers on 4 different properties and say, hey, let's see which one lands.
Yeah.
So, and then you might get accepted on two of them, and you're like, oh, never mind, we
But
want this one.
would you put a deposit down of 3%?
Well, you wouldn't leave a deposit yet until you open escrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're just agreeing to it, right? You're just submitting your offer, it gets accepted, and then the next step is goes to escrow, and then escrow, you have to deposit within 3 days.
That's like pretty fast though, like 7 days, no? Within 7 days you open escrow? Or,
No, you open escrow like as soon as possible. So like, you get your offer accepted today, you send it to escrow.
but you have to
You
have
open
that
escrow.
money, no? When do they take
No,
the
no.
3%?
So you open escrow, escrow doesn't mean that you open escrow when there's money in it. You open escrow, they create the file, and then they send wire instructions to the buy side, say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you have to have the deposit over to us, the earnest money deposit, within 3 days, 3 business days. So here's the wire instructions. So escrow is open, and then the earnest money deposit comes through,
It's like within 3 days or so.
3 business days, yeah.
So if you put like 5 offers out, you better decide right away which one you want.
Yeah, you can always rescind your offer, like if you get accepted, by 2 different sellers, and let's say you like this one better, you're gonna rescind your offer over here. Cancel it or whatever. Yeah, and then you open escrow. So even if they were both to open escrow, you still have to send your money to both places.
Right,
You don't have to, right? You're gonna
it's not
send
a
it
few
to one.
days.
Yeah. But, because you need wire instructions.
Right.
Escrow,
You
need
don't have
wire
the
instructions.
information to take the money out of your account yet.
So if you're representing the buyer, because I know this is a listing site, but if you're representing the buyer, always make sure if your offer gets accepted, to tell your buyer when you receive wire instructions from escrow, call escrow to confirm that the wire instructions came from them and this is the correct account number. Because there's a lot of fraud that goes on, where these fraudsters, they hack into the email communications. And they'll send wire instructions on behalf of escrow to the buyer. And say, oh, send the earnest money deposit here, and they're not even part of escrow. So the buyer then sends the wires the deposit. And then the fraudster just takes off with the money, you can't do anything after that. So. Gotta be careful. I think we're done. Any other questions? Let's see, is Yancy still on?
Mayor, no questions though.
Yancy, so what do you think? Was there anything that happened differently on any of your transactions? From what you see on the screen?
No, not really. It's nice having a transaction coordinator that helps through some of the timeline. That I
Yeah.
like, I have Marco Ochoa helps me out. But
Yeah.
he's on top of it, and it does help having the seller's disclosures as soon as possible.
Yeah, because otherwise you're chasing them down, or like, maybe they're on vacation, or they're not returning phone calls or emails, and you're just like, okay, we need these right away, we gotta get these done. So it's good to have everything done up front.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. What about you, Marjan, any questions? I know Harry doesn't have any questions, she's an expert at all this.
Good job. No, I love that multiple offer sheet. That's really helpful.
Yeah, the other day, Holden had 30 offers. on his- And he wanted to show, like, I guess, a summary of at least 10 of them at first. So I helped him create a spreadsheet where we put, I think, 10 of them side by side with certain information. And then he just ended up using, I think, the top 3 or top 4 and presenting those. And then also saying, we also have these other ones. He presented all of them.
Cause you're supposed to, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to present all of them. He presented all of them. Yeah, the seller ended up picking the best one. But yeah, you can do this on Excel, create your own spreadsheet and enter the days that you want, but you are supposed to submit every offer. Present every offer.
Right.
30 offers.
Yeah, that's a lot of offers.
That's
Plus,
a lot.
if you go on his Instagram, you'll see that he posted something about having 30 offers.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so that's
you.
it for today. If you guys have any questions, you can email or call me here at the office.
very good. Thanks.
All right,